I love how we always act like our culture is hand selected. Like we determine consciously what it is that is true about us as a subgroup of people. Did you choose consciously for yourself how you view yourself? Did you choose consciously how you would view others, other races, and ethnic backgrounds? Did you choose for yourself how your day to day would look? And I'm not talking about where you would work because you have to have a job to sustain yourself on the physical plane. I mean, did you decide step by step how your life would look? Not based on need, not based on lack, not based on society telling me that this is what someone does when they become a certain age inside of our system. No, I'm saying, like, did I decide for myself that this is the way I want to live my life? As a matter of fact, when kids do that and they say outlandish things like I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a basketball player, or I want to be a famous football player, or I want to be a rapper, we oftentimes tell them that they need to have a backup plan because we are full-fledged members of the compromise committee. And we no longer have the type of faith and trust in a inner source to guide us to our intended purposes and destinations. We now have to figure things out on our own and survive inside of a world of suffering. A lot of our programming comes from movies and music, and we don't like to admit that because we are oftentimes trying to keep ourselves under the impression that the things that we do have no effect on us negatively. But we also like to keep ourselves convinced that the things that we are doing that are positive in our minds, that we think that are causing a positive effect, are working, which is why we constantly go back and revisit the universal principle of a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. You have to understand, if you're convinced that you're wrong, you're just as convinced that you're right. It's impossible for me to be convinced that I have the need to be saved without partnering with the idea that I'm lost. And if I'm partnered with the idea that I'm lost, then I cannot move beyond what I assume myself to be. I call more of that experience onto myself as I say I want to escape it, and I'm pursuing the escape of it continually. Me trying to escape it is drawing me deeper and deeper into it because of my obsession and thought and attention with it. I don't know where you're from. Matter of fact, in the comment section, put it in the comment section. Let me know where you're from. Check in as you come in contact with this video. I'm from Florida, so I've been to a lot of theme parks. I've been to a lot of outdoor sporting events. And the closest thing to a New Yorker or up north type of vibe in passing is a bird at a theme park or a bird in the parking lot of an NBA game. And why is that? Why is it that this bird at the theme park walks with its chest out so far and its beak up so high, coming so close to contact with humans without seeming to be fearful? It's because they've been fed. Anything you feed grows in strength. Anything you feed will one day at some point turn around and attempt to control you. And the only thing that determines whether the attempt to control you is successful or not is whether you are partnered with truth or partnered with illusions and lies. If you do not know the truth and you have not been set free, then you shall be consumed with what you created in the darkness of your mind. I don't know that another person cannot add value to me, and I don't know that I'm whole and perfectly created from my origin. So I get identified with another person. That person leaves me. That person moves on. I find myself distraught. I find myself depressed. I go into eating to comfort myself. Food has become my answer, my solace, as I watch TV, binge watch shows, and space out to keep from thinking about what seems to be consuming me. But eventually I noticed that food and illicit entertainment is consuming me. So then I have to develop a fix for that. So now I end up in the gym and I'm working off the pounds that I put on, trying to put off the heartbreak from the person that I misidentified myself with in the first place. Now I'm in the gym and I'm getting healthy and I'm looking at my results and I'm getting really attached to my results. Now I'm becoming identified with my results. Now I'm going so hard that I'm liable to pull something or tear something and end up with an ailment that I didn't have prior to. And you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have a fix for that. And there's going to be a process for that. And then behind that, and then behind that. And that is what we call the universal hamster wheel that all mankind has spent some time on at one point or another and probably still engages in to this day. You just don't allow yourself to see it because it would change what you had to say to people. If you allowed yourself to see the truth, you would not be able to fight for the illusions that you believe on the inside if you would allow light to be shed on them and allow them to be destroyed by coming into a revelation of what is actually factual and true. You know how long ago you learned how to be defensive? You know when you learned to protect what it was that you believed? You know when it was that you got so obsessed with your intentions that when somebody came to correct you about your actions that you actually physically carried out, you begin to turn red on the outside and hot on the inside because you know that you intended well. This goes all the way back to washing your mama dishes, all the way back to sweeping your mama floor, vacuuming your mama living room, and her coming behind you and yelling and fussing at you and telling you that you half cleaned it, that you half did it, and you needed to do it again. You had the best of intentions. You felt like she was attacking you. But to be real, my dudes just didn't feel like articulating that you was trying so hard to get back in there to the video game that you came in here and didn't even really apply yourself to doing what it was that you was asked to do. So you did a really piss poor job at it. But you not wanting to come into the awareness of the insufficient execution of your actions, you build this narrative that she's attacking you, and you get in your emotions and you see this as some personal shot at your character and your identity, and you leave your mama house and you say that your mama was some type of mean person who bashed you and talked down on you. No, your mama was actually out here in reality while you were in your head pretending that you did not do and weren't doing the things that you were constantly doing. But it's okay. That's what it is to be a child. You're supposed to have that level of ignorance as a child. The issue is when you bring that level of ignorance into your adulthood and you begin to navigate as the leader of families and on your job as management, and you still operate from this same level of hyper emotionalism and extreme ignorance. When you get committed to truth, you're going to realize that some of the people that's been really close to you are going to start putting some distance in between you, because some of your friends are only your friends because you are the only one that allows for them to operate without accountability. You are the only person that they could talk to the way that they talk to you. You are the only person that they can cut on and cut off the way they cut you on and off. That's why you see a extreme contrast. I'm not asking you to compare, but I'm saying it's blatantly obvious and it's in your face. They don't talk to their spouse the way they talk to you. They don't talk to their significant other the way they talk to you. They don't talk to their boss the way they talk to you. They operate the way they operate with you because they view you as a person who is benefited by being associated with them, not someone who is beneficial to them. You can't give people room to speak on your identity. Your identity has to be set. Your story has to be observed and not freestyled from the ego and the legion of voices as you flow through it, casually moving the narrative and moving the marker as you see fit to keep you inside of the illusion that you are some type of superior and some type of commendable being. It's funny that when other people do things, we say it is what it is. Oh, this is what reality is. Look, actions speak louder than words. But when we do things and it seems to express something that is given back to us in words that no longer makes us look like a commendable person, we will fight against the narrative and reroute what it was that we did and paint a picture so believable that even we believe ourselves that that is the reason that we did what we did, and not because it is an expression of where our mind was and what it was that we desired at the time. But when you understand that everyone is a mirror, everyone is reflecting back to you, your own nature, your own makeup, your own propensities and superstitions and beliefs, then you are better equipped to deal in grace When you encounter someone who is still absent of the awareness of their true self, a person that's rejecting me is a person who is unable to see me as an extension of the source that we both are. So this is a person who's rejecting themselves. This is a person who is absent of the awareness of their true identity. Why and how could I ever depend on them to see me clearly? The crazy thing is, it all doubles back to you got the wrong person ruling over the kingdom. You got the wrong person on the throne. You have enlisted a complete, compulsive liar to be your leader. You have followed the greatest illusionist to ever live and called him Lord and called him Guru and followed every bit of advice that she's giving you. When people on the outside of yourself knew things that you were not aware of, you ran it by this deity that you created in the darkness that is nothing but a fabrication, an illusion, a non-existent being that you partner with and you give life to. You ran everything through this entity and formulated a definition for what it was that you were hearing and why they were saying what they said, which is why you often rejected anything that went against your current presentation, because the ego is fighting for its existence, and the ego's existence is dependent on ignorance. As you come into truth and you come into awareness of what the ego is and what you are in truth, you will have no desire to listen to or partner with the illusionary ego that has driven you in circles all of your life. We've let others tell us who we are for way too long, as a subsect of people, as individuals, as lovers. You can see it in the movies and in the music. There's a particular animal that is seen as uncontrollable, unsavory, and untrustworthy. And that animal is largely associated with the pigmented people of the world. Not only has it been associated with us in media, but from Michael Vick to my uncle, I've seen the dedication of black men to pit bull terriers extend sometimes further than they're willing to go for their own children. But are we going to just accept that this is some type of accident? Some genetic code inside of black men that causes them to be drawn to pit bulls? Or is this social programming at its finest, by its finest, being executed on those who are unaware? It takes a certain personality to raise any type of dog or to raise anything, but it really takes a particular type of person to raise a pit bull because of their relentless amounts of energy and their resistance and stubbornness. It takes a strong owner to keep a pit bull in its place. Because of the temperament of the pit bull's owner is always on guard and never truly trusting of the pit bull to be loyal and to be a loving companion at all times. The pit bull owner is aware that this dog's nature is to do and be exactly what it is, and I am prepared to deal with that in the event that it becomes an issue for me. But why are we talking about pit bulls? Because this is not just how we deal with pit bulls. This is how we've grown to deal with people. We attempt to love from a place of defensiveness. We attempt to love from a place of protectiveness. We love people as if they're pit bulls and they can attack at any minute. We are constantly ready to retaliate because you do not bite the hand that feeds you, right? Is this mentality not all over the reactions that you see when someone feels hurt by the person whom they've extended themselves to in love and relationship? Now, I can see why you deal with pit bulls that way. I can see why you deal with any dog that you're not familiar with and that you don't know from your backyard that way. But what I don't understand is when you lost the ability to be aware of what was in front of you to the degree that you started dealing with pit bulls and people exactly the same. If I ask you, when you look at people, do you see a pit bull? You'd probably tell me no. But if I asked you what a pit bull was, in reality, it's something that could pose a threat, something that is uncontrollable, something that is unpredictable, something that is known over history to attack, something to be controlled, something outside of myself, something subordinate to me, something that should listen when I speak, something that should acknowledge me, something that should see me as above it. But what is it that you're constantly talking to yourself about when you meet people? Are you not assessing whether they are a threat or they are harmless? Are you not assessing their ability to listen to your needs and your desires and align themselves with them? Are you not assessing their ability to communicate their loyalty to you and to show you that they are willing to be submissive, showing you that they are loyal to you by attacking those things that you think are opposing to you and defending you from your fears? What you call your support system is largely just a collection of stuffed animals that you keep to comfort you inside of your dysfunction. And the ones that have remained inside of it are those who are willing to extend to you hugs instead of correction. You straight pulled the batteries out of any of the backs of the toys that could speak and communicate anything that went against to what you want it to be true. You have to see it if you ever want to stop it. You have to see how you never stop playing with dolls and action figures. You have to see how you never stop drawing narratives in your head. You never stop writing the script for both sides, even though by now you should know that you can only control what comes out of your mouth. You never grew out of thinking that everybody was always watching you every time you entered a room. You never grew into Sonder, where you come into the realization that everybody's life is just as full and just as complicated as yours, and people really don't have time to stare at you and grade your every action. To be real, the type of people who have the time to chase behind other people and investigate their lives are living an expression of life that is so much like death that the only thing they now are consumed with is escaping where they have taken themselves in their mind. Remember the old saying, if you dig one ditch, you better dig two, because the trap you set just may be for you. Because of our ignorance of our true self and our ignorance of the spirit realm and how things operate in the invisible, we oftentimes don't know the consequences that run parallel with the actions that we carry out in the physical. But that's why we call universal law an iron rod, because whether we know it or not, they are in effect. Lock in.